The most powerful lion pride on the African savannah must face off against a herd of Cape buffalo. They're known as the Black Death of the animal kingdom. Creatures capable of taking down any predator, thanks to their fearsome and absolute power. This will be the toughest challenge of the lions' lives. Lions and Cape buffalo, a battle without end. The day is just beginning to heat up when the herd of Cape buffalo appears at the edge of the plains. They are not just an important source of food, but they are also one of the pride's most formidable adversaries. The Cape buffalo has a heavy, compact body, looking as if it were forged from black steel. Its horns curve sharply forward and then sweep out to the sides, forming a natural shield that protects its head. The muscles in its shoulders and chest are so immense that every step makes the ground slightly tremble. And what makes them one of the most difficult prey is that they are never alone. The entire herd stays together, always ready to turn and rescue a member in danger. The lionesses know this all too well. They don't rush in. Some take their positions at the front, waiting for the moment the herd lets its guard down, just enough for one to be separated. The crucial moment arrives. An old buffalo slows its pace. Falling just a few steps behind. But for these veteran lionesses, that is more than enough. roars. Horns and growls mix in absolute chaos. Clouds of dust billow up from the ground. Finally, the buffalo goes down and becomes a feast for the lion pride. As the sun climbs higher, the pride of lions had earned themselves a meal worthy of their struggle. But this victory didn't come easy. It's a reminder that every hunt for Cape buffalo is a life-or-death gamble on the savannah. At the center of it all is the adult male, a symbol of strength and authority. His dark mane catches the first rays of the sun, like a heavy crown of dominance. He hardly needs to hunt. His mission is to protect, to be a living fortress in this land full of challenges. Surrounding him are the lionesses, the pride's true elite force. Their movements are nimble and smooth. Each step glides silently through the grass, as if they're melting into the savannah itself. They are a hunting machine, a perfect one, built on instinctive coordination, strategies passed down through generations, and an endurance that can last for hours. In the shade of the tall bushes, the cubs huddle close to their mothers. They are curious and clumsy, with wide, watchful eyes, as they take in this vast world for the very first time. At barely 1 week old, they are already learning their first lesson here. Survival is not for the slow. The entire pride moves as a single organism. Across this immense savannah, every individual plays a vital role. Their presence isn't just a show of strength, but also of unity, which allows them to endure the rainy seasons, the dry seasons, and the relentless challenges of this harsh land. After the last big meal of the bountiful season, the savannah began to change its colors. Patches of green grass slowly vanished and turned into a dry, grayish-yellow coat of vegetation. The lion pride was forced to leave its familiar territory and travel to more distant lands, where prey could still be found, enough to sustain the entire pride. Their journey led them to a river with a strong, muddy scent. The surface of the water seemed deceptively still. It was no place to let their guard down. Just beneath that apparent calm, silent predators were lurking. Motionless crocodiles, with only their eyes breaking the water's surface. They have the most powerful bite in the animal kingdom, capable of pulling a full-grown lion to the bottom of the river in a single attack. The lionesses moved down with extreme caution, at first testing the depth, inch by inch. They nudged the cubs toward the middle, where they would be safest. As the pride made its way across the river, a dark shape stirred under the water, but the speed and awareness of the lions meant the predator lost its opportunity. The pride made it across, soaking wet, but completely unharmed. However, lions sometimes come up against an ambusher, the silent crocodile. With a bite force of almost 3,700 ps1c, its jaws are among the most powerful on Earth, strong enough to threaten many large animals. And yet there has never been a single documented case of a crocodile successfully taking down a full-grown lion. The big cat's raw muscular strength, its keen senses, and a lifetime of survival experience are what help the great feline stay safe from the dangers lurking in the water. The true danger, however, is for the cubs. They're often curious and far less cautious when they venture too close to the river's edge without their mother's protection. That's when danger strikes. A crocodile can lunge in an instant, leaving the young ones with no time to react. It's a harsh lesson. The river is never completely safe. This standoff highlights a natural division of territory. On land, the lions hold dominion. In the water, crocodiles reign as the supreme ambush predators. Whether at the water's edge or crossing a stream, the lions must rely on their alertness and strength to avoid an attack from out of nowhere. But if a crocodile dares to venture onto dry land, the risk immediately becomes its own. A lion can easily overpower it, turning the would-be ambusher into a source of food, however uncommon. In the end, these two species coexist, always watching each other with caution. The boundary between the river and the savannah remains a fragile line, but an enduring one in the balance of nature. In many regions across Africa, the rainy season might fail for months, sometimes even years at a time. When that occurs, the rivers that once snaked across the plains are transformed into corridors of dust. Lakes shrink with each passing day, until only isolated puddles remain, contested by hundreds of animals. The water that has always been the center of life becomes the single most valuable resource, the scarcest and most dangerous place on the savannah. Is wherever you find water. Animals are forced to congregate here. And where animals congregate, there is conflict, sickness, and death. And where death collects, something always profits. For most animals, the dry season is a nightmare. For the crocodile, it's the perfect stage. The drought doesn't weaken the crocodile. It bends the environment to its will. With less water available, the herbivores are compelled to visit the very same locations repeatedly. Paths are worn into the earth. Their schedules become routine. Predictability increases. And the crocodile is a predator that thrives on that very thing. Routine carelessness and proximity. Unlike active hunters, the crocodile expends very little energy. Its metabolism is slow, efficient, and ruthlessly economical. It can go months without a meal, waiting for the perfect moment. While other predators grow weak, the crocodile remains motionless, buried in the mud. With only its eyes and nostrils exposed, it's virtually invisible in the murky water. The drought also cuts off escape routes. In full rivers, a potential meal can escape to deeper or wider areas. But in the dry season, there are no options. The banks are exposed, slippery and narrow. One false step is all it takes. A moment's distraction is enough. And when the attack comes, it is final. The animals are weakened by hunger and dehydration. Their reflexes are slower, with less strength to fight back, and a much smaller chance of escape. The crocodile's famous ambush, that sudden explosion from the water, becomes even more effective. The drought doesn't just make the hunt easier, it also weakens the victim's defenses. Another decisive factor is the sheer number of carcasses. Many animals die near the watering hole. Whether from pure exhaustion or from disease, brought on by drinking the contaminated water. For the crocodile, this means an easy meal. It no longer depends solely on hunting. It profits from the death all around it. Scavenged remains, scraps, and whole bodies are all on the menu during the dry season. But there is a little-known secret. In extreme conditions, crocodiles can dig deep burrows into the mud, creating damp shelters called burrows. These refuges keep their bodies hydrated and shielded from the scorching heat, allowing them to survive, even when the surface world appears completely lifeless. As the savannah cracks, the crocodile waits, buried, perfectly preserved. In the logic of the drought, the crocodile does not run. It does not migrate. It does not compete. It simply endures. And the more the savannah suffers, the more powerful it becomes. While the lions grow thin, it grows fat. While the herds disintegrate, it grows stronger. While the water disappears, it controls what little remains. The cheetah relies on speed to avoid conflict, not on strength to endure it. When flight fails, its lightweight body leaves it defenseless, with few means of fighting back. The lion, however, relies on its size and its raw instincts, territorial instincts, to unleash its aggression. In these confrontations, speed is pitted against power, and the outcome is swift. For the cheetah, one mistake can be fatal. In territory they both share. Even the world's fastest predator has boundaries that speed alone cannot overcome. African wild dogs are endurance hunters. Their bodies are lean, and they depend on teamwork and persistence to wear their prey down. When facing lions, however, their unity can quickly fall apart. A single blow from a lion poses a mortal threat. In these encounters, the dogs risk far more than just a retreat. They learn quickly which areas are forbidden and where they cannot remain. The male lion's power doesn't come from speed, but from his presence alone. His body is built for raw power, with a powerful frame and a mane that both protects and proclaims his strength. Dark manes are a sign of high testosterone and better overall condition. But reaching that stage takes years of risk. Young males face starvation, injury, and rivals at every turn. When one approaches a pride, he doesn't charge. He watches and he waits. He moves forward with purpose. And as the tension mounts, a new order begins to take shape. Within the pride, stability masks a silent competition. Because even though leadership is accepted, it never goes unchallenged. Upon reaching full maturity, instinct drives them to seek out their position and control among their own kind. Hormonal changes heighten their alertness, and the likelihood of a confrontation, especially when others close by, are also growing stronger. When that pressure reaches a breaking point, conflict becomes unavoidable. What comes next doesn't change the order immediately, but it signals the exact moment that change begins. Other predators wander this same territory, drawn in by hunger, by instinct, or by pure chance. Some avoid any confrontation. Others test to see what gives. Tension is born in the instant that two predators cross paths. Each one can sense that the space between them is no longer neutral ground. There is no obvious signal, just a silent recognition that neither one will back down easily. The outcome doesn't echo across the plains, but it settles into the emptiness left behind. It's something felt more than it is seen. One presence fades away, the other remains. No sound marks the transition, but the balance shifts all the same. Not all hunts begin with movement. Some start in absolute silence. A calm so profound it seems, as if the very air is holding its breath. The leopard watches. A young warthog strays just a little too far. The adult warthogs are armed, and they are unpredictable, capable of a ferocious and unexpected defense. But even they get distracted. And when they do, the leopard doesn't rush. It watches near the burrow as the tension mounts, just enough to create a separation. For the leopard, the choice is not a moral one. It's strategic. It is what it does. What makes the leopard so fearsome isn't the power of its leap. It's when taking risks comes up empty, and the land offers no guarantees, that the leopard turns to the water. By its nature, it is not a hunter of the wetlands. But necessity rewrites instinct, and hunger doesn't wait for the perfect moment. In the shallow basin of a dwindling lake, where the mud clings and movement is slowed, the leopard adapts. There are no trees to climb, no grass to hide in. There is only silence, broken only when the water itself is disturbed. If the rhinoceros is the armored wall of the dry plains, the hippopotamus is the power that defines the rivers. Weighing over 6,600 pounds, with a mouth that can open nearly 4 feet wide, the hippopotamus possesses a strength that even lions must respect. Its enormous jaws with their long tusks and a powerful biting force command an undeniable authority. In their rare encounters, the greatest threat doesn't just come from brute strength, but also from the intense tension surrounding the moment. The lions, however experienced they may be, sense the danger in approaching this giant of the waters. Instead of attacking directly, they often watch for the young or for hippos that are alone, knowing that a single mistake could cost them everything. The outcome of these confrontations rarely favors the lions. Most of the time, the hippopotamus maintains its position as the true sovereign of the rivers. The savannah ends at the shore, where the crown of the lion gives way to the giant of the river. all along the banks of the African rivers. The hippopotamus rules these waters, a true giant. Unpredictable. Weighing in at nearly 4,000 pounds, it can open its massive jaws to nearly 150 degrees, revealing tusks over a foot long. With an explosive temper, any intruder that dares to enter its territory had better be on high alert. And lions are no exception. When 3 male lions venture into the shallows, the hippo's sudden attack is nothing short of terrifying. The river's surface erupts as its massive body surges upward, giving the lions no time to react. In the blink of an eye, those powerful jaws could snap shut, turning this challenge into a harsh lesson for any who dare to trespass. But its dominance isn't confined to the water. On land, hippos can reach speeds of nearly 20 miles per hour, a shocking agility. It's enough to render the lion's numbers useless. And with a bite force of around 1,800 psi, the question remains, can the king of the savannah truly stand against such overwhelming power? Not all threats are announced with a roar. Some approach in silence, but their consequences are far too grave to ignore. When the paths of 2 males cross, the outcome is seldom a peaceful one. A younger feline pushes too far into a territory already claimed, marked by scent and memory. And the response is immediate. The ensuing clash is brief but never clean. The scars from such encounters last far longer than the fight itself. In this world, the most dangerous rival may be the one who understands your tactics best. Elephants, the largest land animals alive today, face an even more brutal challenge. A single adult elephant can consume over 150 liters of water a day. During a drought, that need becomes a death sentence. The herds travel for tens, sometimes hundreds of kilometers, in their search for water. The march is slow, relentless, and devastating for the most vulnerable. The young calves cannot endure long days under the sun, the extreme heat. The elderly elephants, with their worn-down teeth, can no longer grind the sparse, dry vegetation available. They simply collapse along the trail. Others get stuck in dried-up riverbeds while attempting to dig makeshift wells with their tusks. There are records of entire herds gathering around the bodies of the fallen, touching them repeatedly, as if refusing to accept the loss. A drought doesn't just kill the body, it shatters social structures, built up over decades. They move forward not only with physical power, but also with a precise pack strategy. It's this blend of speed, persistence, and collective intelligence that makes the hyena such a formidable rival. Watch closely. They will seize the advantage, or disappear into the dust sweeping across the plain. The rhinoceros is one of Africa's great symbols of power, weighing as much as 2,300 kilograms, and with a hide almost 5 centimeters thick. Every charge with its horn is enough to keep any predator at bay. In comparison, a hyena weighs only between 45 and 70 kilograms, but they have numbers on their side and an extraordinary level of persistence. This is a clash of sheer power against tireless strategy. At first, the clan ventures toward a fully grown adult. But every powerful charge from the rhino forces them into an immediate retreat, proving that finding success against a healthy rhino is nearly impossible. Undeterred, they shift their attention to a calf that weighs between 270 and 360 kilograms. Even with its mother nearby, the daylight works in the rhino's favor, making it difficult for the pack to gain the upper hand. The chase continues until dusk. As night begins to fall, the rhino's vision grows weak, whereas hyenas thrive in the darkness. The pack closes in, gradually separating the exhausted calf after the long hours. When the darkness takes complete hold of the plain, their perseverance is finally rewarded. This final outcome reveals a familiar paradox in nature. Even the greatest of giants, when worn down by time and a group's strategy, can sometimes yield to the strength of the collective. In the wild, the lion is known as the king of beasts, and for the hyenas, it is always their most formidable rival. Every encounter requires careful calculation, because the smallest mistake can be incredibly costly. Facing a mature male lion weighing over 180 kilograms, the hyenas will usually maintain their distance, watching from afar and waiting for an opportunity. However, when they are up against a single lioness, the balance of power can shift. With overwhelming numbers in their favor, the hyenas grow bolder, advancing with determination and intimidation, forcing the lioness to defend her meal. At times, their tight coordination allows them to turn the tables, driving the lioness back and claiming the prize for themselves. These clashes are not just about food, but also about territory. Both lions and hyenas mark their hunting grounds. and any intrusion can ignite an intense confrontation. Even so, when faced with the power of lions, especially adult males, against whom no number of hyenas can truly hold their ground, their chances of success remain slim. Although the outcome often favors the lions, the persistence of the hyenas ensures that even these great hunters must stay on their guard, because in the wild, no power is absolute. Under the midday sun, leopards often drag their prey up into the strong branches of trees to keep it safe. Among the rarest of its kind, the Grevy's zebra stands out with its narrow stripes and large rounded ears. The social structure and grazing habits of the zebras are finely tuned to the rhythms of this arid landscape. Among the few opponents that can make a lion hesitate, the rhinoceros holds a special place. Weighing several thousand pounds, with skin that resembles armor, and a razor-sharp horn as its weapon, a rhinoceros can turn any encounter into a serious threat. A single charge is enough to scatter an entire pride. (1111). The lions, though powerful and well-coordinated, tend to avoid direct attacks against adult rhinoceroses. They understand the risk far outweighs any potential reward. Instead, their strategy focuses on the young or on individuals separated from the herd, where the chances of success are far greater. But when a mother rhinoceros is present, her ferocious protection can quickly foil any plan the lions might have. The outcomes of these rare showdowns are often evenly matched. The lions can gain the upper hand, but only against the young or the weak, while the adult rhinos remain almost untouchable. It's a reminder that even the sovereign of the savannah must show caution in the face of nature's raw power. Leopards and lions share overlapping territories across much of Africa. Both are apex predators, but their strategies couldn't be more different. Its muscular limbs and powerful jaw allow it to hoist its kill up into the trees, reducing conflicts with larger predators. Lions, on the other hand, operate as a pride and hold territory through their presence and pressure. Their greater size and social structure give them a decisive advantage in any confrontation. In short, while leopards are agile and precise, they are simply not built for an open fight with lions. But when escape fails, speed and caution are no longer a defense. And sometimes even the high ground fails. Although it's rarely seen, lions can and will climb. When hunger drives them upward, The branches creak and the silence turns into a siege. The leopard, cornered in its last refuge, must choose between making a stand or being overcome. Some lions don't bother. They wait below for hours. If necessary, without a roar. This isn't a chase, it's about applying pressure. Some hunts rely on stealth, on staying concealed. But others demand you break cover, a place where the only defense is pure speed, and the only plan is instinct honed by experience. There is no time to just observe. There is no room to wait. Out here, action is everything, and every second you lose comes at a price. For the leopard, survival has never been a matter of pride. It's about knowing when to fight and when to fade into the hierarchy of the wild. The leopard and the hyenas walk different paths, but hunger often brings them to the same spot. Their encounters aren't constant, but they are inevitable. They are both opportunists. They both know the price of a missed meal. In the wild, not every threat bears its fangs.